Hey, Elon. Ted Tagami with an educational company called Magnitude.io. I had the good fortune of meeting you back in September, watching your 5 sons launch their own rockets, Black Rock Desert.
Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And since then, we've actually had the great fortune of sending students' payloads up to the International Space Station. And we're now working with CASIS to extend that. We'd like 50 million students to get on the International Space Station, their experiments on the space station by 2014.
Okay.
So my question to you is more about the innovations in education and your thoughts. That same year that I met you and your sons, you announced Ad Astra.
Oh yeah.
And before the advent of Neural Lace gets fully implemented, what are your thoughts on the innovations in education today? Thank you.
Just thoughts on education. I think there's maybe there are definitely some good schools out there, but I think some of the mistakes, at least in my opinion, that I see being made in education is that the teachers do not explain why kids are being taught a subject. You just sort of get dumped into math and like, well, why are you learning math? What's the point of this? This seems like some, for some people, like maybe it's, I don't know why I'm being asked to do these strange problems. But the why of things is extremely important, because our brain has evolved to not to discard information that it thinks has no relevance. So then, if on the one hand you're being asked to memorize or learn, say formulas, but you do not know why this is the case, then you have this cognitive dissonance of it seems irrelevant, but I'm being told to remember it, so I'll be punished. so I better remember it. But so the why of things is very important, and then being able to, and then picking kind of a problem, and then using various educational tools to solve that problem, like using math or physics or economics to solve that problem, is far more engaging than teaching the tools. It's the difference between if you say, well, we're going to take apart this engine and see how it works and put it back together again. And then in order to take the engine apart, we need wrenches and screwdrivers and a winch and Allen keys and whatnot. And then in the course of solving the problem of taking the engine apart and putting it back together, you learn about wrenches and screwdrivers and all the tools that you need.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually kind of funny. If you think of like what is education, like you're basically downloading data and algorithms into your brain, and it's actually amazingly bad in conventional education because like it shouldn't be like this huge chore. Like the more you can gamify the process of learning, the better. Like for my kids, I do not have to encourage them to play video games.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have to like pry them from their hands, like crack.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's like drop that crack needle.
Yeah. You have that problem at your house too.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
The crack is addictive.
And I think, unfortunately, like a lot of education is very vaudevillian. You've got someone standing up there kind of lecturing at people, and they've done the same lecture 20 years in a row, and they're not very excited about it. And that lack of enthusiasm, is conveyed to the students. They're not very excited about it. They don't know why they're there. Like, why are we learning this stuff? We don't even know why. In fact, I think a lot of things people learn, probably there's no point in learning them. Because they never use them in the future.
Because who's going to launch a rocket into space? I mean, that's just like, yeah, exactly. That never happens.
Well, you have to say, like, people, I think, don't stand back and say, well, why are we teaching people these things? And we should tell them probably why we're teaching these things. Because a lot of kids just in school kind of puzzled as to why they're there. And I think if you can explain the why of things, then that makes a huge difference to people's motivation.
Yeah.
Then they understand purpose.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty important, and just make it entertaining. But I think just in general, like conventional education should be massively overhauled, and I'm sure you very much agree with that. But I mean, the analogy that I sometimes use is like, have you seen like Batman, like the Chris Nolan movie, like the recent one, and it's pretty freaking awesome, right? And you've got incredible special effects, great script, multiple takes, amazing actors and great sound, and it's very engaging. But if you were to instead say, okay, even if you had the same script, so at least it's the same script, and you said, okay, now that script, instead of having movies, we're going to have that script performed by the local town troupe.
Right.
Okay, and so in every small town in America, if movies didn't exist, they would have to then recreate The Dark Knight.
Right.
You know, with like home sewn costumes and like, you know, jumping across the stage and not getting their lines quite right and not really looking like, you know, the people in the movie, and no special effects. I mean, that would suck. It would be terrible.
That's right. That's Very.
That's education.
That's education.